done.
Dude, that's crazy. That dude called you out by name. That's a constituent, 100%. He's white, okay? He's a white man whose white child died in a fucking car accident, okay?
Said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done.
Dude, that's crazy. That dude called you out by name. That's a constituent, 100%. He's white, okay? He's a white man whose white child died in a fucking car accident, okay? You used his child's death to continue lying about Haitians that are also your constituents, but you don't care about them because they're black, okay? That is a demonic way to approach the subject matter. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about the dad. I don't give a fuck about that dad, bro. RIP to your son, but I'm going to keep using it to, like, you know, hopefully do some pogroms on the Haitians in Ohio.
On to Springfield, Ohio. And what
Vance is not bright, but he's ex-military, which I think in Trump's mind is important. Sounds like a plan in motion. First of all, JD Vance is a Marine, okay? And if you know anything about the American military, putting a former Marine in a position of power is probably the dumbest thing you can do, okay? And you don't have to look any further than how stupid this idea was. Just look at this interview. He is probably right outside of frame looking for his crayons, his emotional support crayons to chew on as Dana Bash is chewing his ass. Okay?
what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening.
Criticize violence, bro. It was a car accident. Why does he keep repeating her name every other sentence? Because he's trying to do the media training. Like, that's it.
In Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media
He sounds like a bot, dude. I think he's repeated it like, what, fucking 5 times in the last 3 minutes? That's weird. He sounds like a fucking robot.
Media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme, sir.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you.
Let's run it back. That he alludes to it multiple times throughout the interview, but that right there, cinema. Dana, my lolly. My lolly is on the ground, Dana. Why won't you be nice to me? My lolly, Dana. There are ants on my lolly.
Because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris people start talking to their children, and because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme, sir.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
That's so awesome. Dude, it's over. It's fucking Jover. It's Jover, dude. He hit the reset. He hit the reset button. He just rebooted, dude. He went, bro. He went.
On the Inflation Reduction Act,
Look.
which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are
accurate.
creating. We are. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20.
A lot of people don't know what that noise is. Maybe many of you do because there's 30 plus in here, but like we used to hear that shit, okay?
1,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that.
Don't let him get away with that. Ask him again. Why did you say you created stories? You just admitted that you created these stories.
But yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find that.
Bro, you can say Kamala Harris's policy all day, every day. That right there is so Jover, dude. It's so fucking Jover.
This very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marchers. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling in a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what
who
I
are having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda?
Look at this. Look, these people are just comically evil, says Nate Hochman, who you might not know his name, but I do because political autism. Nate Hochman is the Nazi staffer on the Ron DeSantis campaign who was fired for being a Nazi. Now, before people say, well, he's Jewish, yes, he is. He also is a Nazi. Nate Hochman is the Nazi staffer on the Ron DeSantis campaign that made the campaign video where he put a Nazi image on it. This one in particular, the Black Sun. I'm not making any emotional argument here. It's just kind of a matter of fact. This guy's a Nazi weirdo given this. This was the Black Sun imagery that the Nazi staffer Nate Hochman put on the Ron DeSantis, on the Ron DeSantis promo video. Okay. Cassie Pritchard responds as, it's a fender bender, dude. Jesus Christ. Car accidents have been one of the deadliest since the effects of illegal Haitian immigration. People come here who can't drive and it's killing people. You want to do genocide because of a fender bender, you will not see heaven. Genocide is warranted if you can't even live in a fucking civilized society without causing deaths. You are subhuman. They're saying genocide is warranted over a fender bender story that the New York Post chose to cover. I believe it was Caroline, friend of the show, who posted that there's 6 million car accidents that occur in the United States. Okay? Is the New York Post covering all of them? Of course not. Why did the New York Post choose to cover this minor fender bender that did not cause any injuries that happened to be in Springfield, Ohio? Do we know why the New York Post chose to cover this? Because Springfield, Ohio is not in New York. Why did New York Post cover it? It's because they're fucking racist and they also want to incite a race riot. That's the reason. Okay?
To silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting the actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats, begging federal.
Yeah, the thing you're failing to understand is that white people don't get into car crashes is the funniest thing to say about Ohio too. Because like famously, the Midwest is, I don't know how this is even possible because Florida and California exist, but famously the Midwest is some of the worst states for car accidents. Which is why it makes it even funnier that they're like, oh, these goddamn Haitians are doing car accidents. Like, they're accusing Haitian people of duck hunting and car accidents. Okay? It's like complaining that Haitians drink too much beer. Okay? These are things that you do. Okay? If it was even true That would mean that they have assimilated. Are you going to be like, these goddamn Haitians are hunting deer next? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Officials, you, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about
No, I know the duck was roadkill. I know.
the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things.
I know the duck guy was not Haitian, chat. I know. I covered it yesterday. The duck guy was not in Springfield. He was working for Ohio Wildlife. He was an American citizen who happens to be black, who was carrying 2 geese that were killed, and they were roadkill. Okay? I know. I know that. Just like another American pastime is fucking grilling meat. Republicans are now finding footage of black people grilling meat, or sometimes not even black people grilling meat, just like they'll zoom in to just the grilling part and be like, they're grilling dogs and cats. Like, I'm telling you, it's insane.
Sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass.
Yeah, because it's fake. What do you mean? Why don't you just like... Oh my God. It's fake. He's literally complaining. He's complaining that like you're not giving credence to a fake story that I'm trying to fucking present. And instead doing actual journalism, investigating the matter further, and finding out that it's fucking bullshit because I didn't even try hard enough to come up with a good enough lie that is racist. Okay? Because I'm far too comfortable with the shitty lies that I make up because Republicans are so fucking dumb that like they believe the dumbest racist lies at this point.
Harass them. That double standard is why the people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay, if you
if you want to talk about public policy, stop fucking lying, dumbass.
have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you so much.
I think one of the funniest aspects